was just past midnight when Daniel's phone buzzed with the news he had been dreading. His younger sister, Lily, who had been fighting a mysterious illness for months, had been admitted to St. Mary's General Hospital after collapsing. Without hesitation, Daniel grabbed his keys and drove through the fog-choked streets toward the hospital. St. Mary's had always felt off. Even from the outside, its towering brick facade and dim, flickering lights seemed more suited to a haunted asylum than a place of healing. But this was where his sister had been taken, and this was where he had to go. When he walked through the automatic doors, the reception desk was strangely empty. The faint hum of fluorescent lights echoed in the sterile hallways, and every step he took seemed to awaken shadows that stretched unnaturally against the walls. "Hello?" Daniel's voice trembled. No response. The smell of antiseptic was thick, clinging to his throat, making it hard to breathe. Somewhere down the corridor, he thought he heard a faint cough, or maybe a sob. He pressed forward, gripping his phone like a lifeline. The hallways seemed to twist and elongate, making the hospital feel like a labyrinth. Each door he passed revealed something unsettling: a wheelchair overturned in an empty room, a stack of patient files scattered on the floor, or surgical instruments left gleaming under harsh lights as if abandoned mid-operation. None of it made sense. Hospitals don't just stop. Then he saw her. Lily, standing at the far end of the hallway, barefoot in her thin hospital gown. Relief surged through him as he ran toward her. "Lily, thank God." He stopped dead in his tracks. Her face was pale, eyes wide with terror, her lips trembling. She raised a finger to her mouth, shushing him silently, before vanishing into the dark like smoke dissipating in the wind. His heart thundered. No, this isn't real. But the thought wouldn't settle. He had seen her. He knew he had. And something inside him whispered that if he didn't find her now, he might never see her again. As he pushed deeper into the hospital, the place seemed to come alive. Lights flickered violently, alarms blared randomly in distant wards, and shadows crept like living things across the walls. He stumbled into what looked like an old surgical theater. Rows of cracked seats overlooked a grimy operating table, stained with something far too dark to be old. Above it, a massive surgical lamp buzzed, throwing the room into a nauseating strobe. He could feel eyes on him, watching, judging. The sound of wheels squeaking made his blood run cold. He turned and saw a figure pushing a gurney. The man, if you could call him that, wore a surgeon's coat soaked with crimson, his face obscured by an old gas mask. His every step echoed with authority, deliberate and unhurried. And on the gurney lay someone small, fragile Lily. Daniel's chest tightened. "Let her go," he shouted, lunging forward. But the surgeon only tilted his head and wheeled her away, disappearing through a set of heavy double doors. Daniel followed, his legs screaming with exhaustion as he chased the figure through endless hallways that seemed to shift and stretch like a nightmare. Every corner he turned revealed horrors. Rooms filled with rows of motionless patients, all hooked to machines that beeped in perfect unison, their faces covered with white sheets, walls that dripped with something black and tar-like, whispers that grew louder the farther he went, all calling his name. Finally, he burst into a room that froze his blood. It was a morgue, cold and suffocating. Dozens of body drawers lined the walls, each with a name tag. And then he saw it, one marked Lily Thompson. His hands shook as he reached out, gripping the handle. He didn't want to open it, but he had to. The metal screeched as it slid open, and inside lay his sister, her skin cold and blue, her lifeless eyes staring upward. "No, no, no, no," Daniel sobbed, shaking her. But as tears blurred his vision, her lips suddenly parted. She gasped violently, sitting upright, her eyes wide and full of terror. "Danny," she whispered, clutching his shirt. "We're not supposed to be here. None of us are supposed to be here." Before he could respond, the room filled with the sound of dragging feet. The morgue drawers rattled violently, as if something inside them was trying to break free. The surgeon stepped into the room again, gas mask hissing, gloved hands outstretched, as though welcoming him to the madness. Behind him, the drawers began to slide open, one by one, and pale, skeletal hands clawed their way out. Daniel grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward the only exit he could see, a narrow door at the far end of the morgue. They ran, dodging the grasping limbs of the dead, as the surgeon's slow, steady steps followed behind. The hallway beyond seemed endless, but Daniel refused to stop. For Lily, for himself, he couldn't let this nightmare take them. At last, they burst through another set of doors, and suddenly everything was silent. The hospital lobby stretched before them, perfectly normal. Bright lights, soft music, a nurse calmly writing at the reception desk. Daniel blinked, his chest heaving, his sister clutching his arm. "Sir," the nurse said, looking up, "are you here to see a patient?" Daniel's throat was dry. "My sister, Lily Thompson. She was admitted earlier tonight." The nurse's face softened, but in a way that made his stomach drop. "I'm sorry, sir. Lily Thompson passed away at 10:02 tonight. Cardiac arrest. We did everything we could." Daniel froze, his heart sinking into an abyss of despair. He turned to Lily beside him, but she was gone. Nothing remained, no warmth, no shadow, no trace she'd ever been there. Only the faint echo of her voice lingered in his mind. "We're not supposed to be here." The nurse placed a hand gently on his arm. "You should sit down. You look pale." But Daniel couldn't move. He stood rooted in place, staring at the clock on the wall. The red digital numbers blinked back at him, unrelenting, impossible. 10:02, the time of death. And as he finally lowered his head into trembling hands, he swore he could hear it again. The faint squeak of gurney wheels